I've always considered myself a pretty laid-back person. I tend to go with the flow, avoid confrontation, and keep my cool in sticky situations. But there are moments in life when the universe decides to test your limits and you find yourself in a situation you never could have imagined. That's exactly what happened to me and my dad, a proud old veteran, during a routine grocery store trip. Buckle up, because this crazy encounter with an entitled woman pushed me to my limits and ended with an outcome that left us both infuriated and relieved. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, and my dad and I had decided to tackle our weekly grocery shopping together. My dad, a Vietnam War veteran, had served his country with honor and had the scars to prove it. He carried himself with pride, but he also had a certain medical condition that made walking for long periods difficult. Nevertheless, he was determined not to let it slow him down. We strolled into the grocery store, armed with a list and a cheerful attitude. Little did we know this innocent outing would soon take an unexpected turn. As we made our way through the produce section, a middle-aged woman with an air of entitlement caught my eye. She had that look, the one that says, "I'm the center of the universe and everyone else should bow down to me." As if she had a personal vendetta against politeness, she barged past my dad without so much as an "excuse me," causing him to stumble and nearly lose his balance. I could feel my blood boiling, but I took a deep breath and held my tongue. Don't let it ruin our day, I thought to myself. Little did I know things were about to escalate. We continued our shopping, trying to put the incident behind us, but the entitled woman seemed hell-bent on causing chaos. We crossed paths with her again in the canned goods aisle, where she appeared to have forgotten her shopping list. Frustrated, she turned her attention to my dad, who was scanning the shelves for a specific brand of soup. With an obnoxious huff, she snapped, "Excuse me, old man, but you're blocking the aisle. Move aside." My dad, ever the gentleman, politely replied, "I apologize, ma'am. I'll just be a moment." But this was not enough for her. She proceeded to unleash a verbal onslaught, berating my dad for his perceived slowness and even mocking his veteran status. Anger surged through my veins like a wildfire, and I could no longer contain my frustration. "Hey, lady, show some respect," I blurted out, my voice filled with a mixture of anger and disbelief. My dad fought for this country, and he deserves better than your entitled attitude. The entitled woman's face turned an alarming shade of red. She seemed completely taken aback by my outburst, as if she had never been challenged before. But instead of backing down or apologizing, she doubled down on her entitled behavior. "I don't care who he is. This store is for people who can move quickly, not for old war veterans," she spat, her voice dripping with venom. At this point, a small crowd had gathered, their attention drawn by the escalating drama. People exchanged concerned glances, unsure of how to defuse the situation. But then, a ray of hope appeared in the form of a store employee who had witnessed the entire exchange. He hurriedly approached, his face a mix of concern and determination. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, his voice authoritative yet calm. Before I could even respond, the entitled woman began to spin her own twisted version of events, accusing my dad and me of harassing her and causing a disturbance. I felt my heart sink as the store employee's eyes darted between us, trying to make sense of the conflicting stories. Thankfully, the universe was on our side that day. A fellow shopper who had witnessed the entire encounter stepped forward and recounted the truth. The employee nodded, relieved to have an impartial witness. Sensing that the situation was spiraling out of control, he made a quick call to the store manager, who swiftly arrived on the scene. As the entitled woman continued to spew curses at my dad and the fellow shopper, her anger escalating, the store manager assessed the situation with a stern expression. Realizing that immediate action was required, the store manager swiftly dialed the emergency line, requesting police assistance. Within minutes, the sound of sirens blared in the distance, growing louder as 2 police cars pulled up outside the grocery store. The officers entered the store, their presence commanding attention and authority. As the entitled woman continued her verbal assault, completely oblivious to the consequences of her actions, the store manager approached her, his voice firm and commanding. He warned her to cease her disruptive behavior and await the arrival of the police. But she defiantly refused to comply, hurling more insults and profanities at anyone within earshot. The arrival of the police only escalated the situation further. The officers, fully aware of the disruptive and aggressive behavior of the entitled woman, approached her with caution. They calmly instructed her to calm down and cooperate, but she adamantly refused. It was clear that she had crossed a line, and the officers swiftly decided to take action. As the entitled woman continued her tirade, unaware of the gravity of her actions, the police promptly placed her under arrest for disorderly conduct and public disturbance. Her face twisted in a mix of shock and disbelief as the handcuffs were secured around her wrists. The store fell into an eerie silence, broken only by the sound of the entitled woman's protests and the click of the handcuffs. The fellow shopper, my dad, and I exchanged relieved glances, grateful that the entitled woman's outrageous behavior had finally been brought to a halt. The store manager expressed his gratitude to the fellow shopper who had endured the brunt of the entitled woman's verbal abuse for providing a detailed account of the incident. With the entitled woman now in custody, the police completed their investigation, gathering witness statements and reviewing surveillance footage. The store manager expressed his remorse to my dad for the distress caused and assured us that the store would take appropriate action to ensure such incidents would not happen again in the future. As the police led the entitled woman away, her voice fading into the distance, a sense of justice filled the air. The store gradually resumed its normal rhythm as shoppers cautiously resumed their grocery shopping. The episode had left its mark on everyone present, a reminder of the importance of treating others with respect and the consequences of entitlement. My dad and I exchanged a few words of gratitude and relief, grateful that justice had been served. We paid for our groceries, thanked the store manager for his swift response, and left the store with a renewed sense of appreciation for the ordinary moments in life, as well as the strength to confront adversity head-on. In the days that followed, the incident became a topic of conversation among the community. News of the entitled woman's outburst and subsequent arrest spread, serving as a cautionary tale and a reminder that unacceptable behavior would not be tolerated. The incident also prompted the store to review and improve its customer service protocols, ensuring a safe and respectful environment for all shoppers. Last night, an incident unfolded that left me both frustrated and perplexed. Seeking a brief respite, I decided to smoke a cigarette inside my car. Unfortunately, due to restrictions imposed by my landlord, smoking on the property was not allowed. As a result, I parked on the street about 100 feet away from my house, ensuring I was not directly in front of anyone's home but rather across the street from them. As I indulged in my momentary escape, my partner, a black man, made his way from our home to join me in the car. To our surprise, a white man who happened to be jogging suddenly halted his run and fixated his gaze upon us. This lingering scrutiny raised questions in my partner's mind, prompting him to wonder why this stranger seemed so intent on observing us. Nonetheless, the man eventually departed, and we resumed our activities, paying little attention to the encounter. In preparation for my return indoors, I decided to pack a bowl for a quick hit. Unfortunately, the timing couldn't have been worse, as the jogger suddenly reappeared. He approached us, revealing that he lived 2 houses down, and inquired about our intentions. I explained that I resided in this neighborhood and couldn't smoke within the confines of my home or driveway. In response, he suggested I relocate to the nearby dog park. However, being aware that the park was closed at that time of day and confident that I was not engaged in any wrongdoing, I chose to disregard his advice. After all, I had been engaging in this routine for the past 8 months without incident. With that, the jogger left, and I resumed minding my own business. However, my tranquility was short-lived when I noticed the man returning outside, fixated on us once again. This time, he even resorted to photographing our car, intensifying my sense of unease. In the midst of this disconcerting situation, I decided to stash away my marijuana and light another cigarette, but before I knew it, my surroundings were flooded with the flashing lights of 2 police cars pulling up behind me. The officers swiftly approached both sides of my car, informing me that a report had been made about suspicious individuals engaged in drug-related activities. Calmly, I recounted the same story I had previously shared, emphasizing that I lived in the neighborhood and had resorted to parking in a public space due to my smoking restrictions. In an effort to resolve the matter, the officers requested proof of my residency, to which I willingly consented. Upon confirming that I had every right to be there, they acknowledged the lack of any legitimate reason to suspect otherwise, and promptly left the scene. To this day, I remain uncertain as to why this individual was so overly concerned and fixated on our presence. It is essential to note that the jogger's behavior seemed to exhibit suspicion even before I had taken out my marijuana. Furthermore, I would like to clarify that after smoking, it was my partner who drove us home, and the distance between where I had parked and our front door was merely a 45-second walk. For those concerned about DUIs, rest assured that driving under the influence was never an issue. In my state, while recreational sales are yet to be legalized, medical sales are permitted, and possession of a certain amount is decriminalized. A few weeks ago, I was flying back to Denver from Atlanta. I use a cheap airline, and on the flight to Atlanta, I was stuck in the middle seat and got a little claustrophobic. No problem. I got exactly what I paid for. To avoid this, I paid extra to choose my seat on the way back and chose the window. I get on the plane, walk to my seat, and notice a lady and her child in my aisle. The lady is in the middle and the child, maybe 3 or 4, is in my seat. I didn't board late. I was one of the early groups, so she just preemptively took the window. You have to pay extra for that. I walked up and very politely tell her it's my seat. I never, not once, raised my voice or lost my temper. Nay, that's my seat. Entitled, Mother. Very incredulous. Can't believe I have the nerve to make her move. Are you serious? Nay, yes, completely. Entitled, Mother, you don't have to be such a witch. Nay, thinking, this escalated quickly. Ma'am, I haven't been a witch at all. Not yet. Entitled, Mother, I'm not sitting next to you if you're a witch. Nay, okay. Then, if there are empty seats, I suggest you move if you don't want to sit next to me. That's my seat. She then stands up and yells for the flight attendant because she isn't sitting next to a stupid witch. The poor flight attendant comes over and gives me an embarrassed look and tells her she needs to sit down in the correct seat and wait to see if there are no shows. Entitled, Mother then proceeds to tell everyone around what a witch I am, etc., earning my more embarrassed looks from other passengers. At the end of the day, I got my seat, wasn't claustrophobic, and she looked like an A. But what is the deal with parents like that? I have 3 boys, and I would never, ever expect people to give up seats for us. Certainly not ones they paid extra for. I, 24 female, am getting married next year, and unfortunately, I'm facing some challenges with my mom's approach to the guest list. She seems to believe that she can invite anyone she wants to my wedding without consulting my fiancé and me first. Recently, my mom discovered the existence of a distant family member whom she has never met before and insisted on inviting them to our wedding. The issue arose when I realized that she had secretly sent a save the date to this family member behind my back. I attempted to explain to my mom that while I understand the importance of family, inviting someone we have never met to our wedding might not be the ideal situation. After all, a wedding should be a celebration of our love, not a family reunion. Unfortunately, my mom labeled me as a bridezilla, which made me feel guilty, even though I firmly believe that as the bride I should have a say in who is invited to my own wedding. To make matters worse, my mom took it upon herself to invite my uncle's sister-in-law and uncle's mother-in-law without even consulting me. She told them they were welcome to attend without asking for my input, leaving me feeling obligated to extend them official invitations now that they are aware of my wedding plans. It's frustrating because my mom believes that since my dad and she are paying for the venue, they should have a significant say in the guest list, color scheme, and even the music selection. She often tells my brother's girlfriend things like, I can't wait until you two get married because you'll let me do whatever I want for your wedding, or she's so difficult you wouldn't be this difficult if you were getting married. I'm feeling overwhelmed and stressed about my special day, and it's disheartening that I shouldn't have to feel this way. I'm uncertain about how to navigate these situations, but I know that I deserve to have a wedding that reflects my own desires and choices.